For this cooking tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to pan fry chicken using, well, your basics: pepper, kosher salt, which I find has a better flavor than regular table salt, but it can go either way. Garlic powder, and I like thyme. You can use whatever herb you feel like using. This is more of a concept than a recipe. So what I have going on right now is I have 2 boneless, skinless chicken breasts that are thawed out. These were previously frozen, thawed and trimmed, and ready to go. I also have my 4 main seasonings that I'm going to use. I have extra virgin olive oil. Now, traditionally, extra virgin should not be used for things like frying, but because this is pan frying, it's okay. I just like the taste better. I'm also going to show you how to do a wine reduction pan sauce once I'm done cooking the chicken. That's what the sherry and the butter is for. So, to begin with, we're going to start by seasoning up our chicken breasts. And this is pretty much what you'd think. We'll start with pepper, because why not? And then kosher salt. Garlic powder. And some thyme. Now you can use whatever herb you like. I happen to like thyme, and so this works equally good with things like rosemary or marjoram or whatever. I like to use the back of my tongs or spoon or whatever to just kind of mush the seasoning into the chicken breast. And we're going to flip them over and do the other side too. Okay, the chicken is now seasoned on both sides and is ready to go. And over here my pan, which has been heated on medium heat for a while, is now ready to go. And you can test that by, see how the water droplets just skitter across the surface of the pan and then disappear? That means your pan is plenty hot. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to take my extra virgin olive oil, which I have in a little pouring doohickey. And I'm going to add enough to the pan to cover the bottom. Unfortunately, my stove is not really level, so it kind of looks funny and pools at one end, but that's okay. Okay, we're going to let the oil heat very slightly. And if you'll notice over here, I've got water nearly at a boil. This is for pasta that's going to go along with my chicken. Alright, the oil in the pan is now ready to go. And I'm going to come over here with my chicken, a little bit closer so I don't splash. And I am just going to take this and just lay it directly in the pan. You can do this with more pieces of meat, but you don't want to crowd the pan too much. Since I'm only doing 2 chicken breasts, I've got lots of room, but you could probably fit a third in there. Put that in the sink. Alright, back to our chicken. Now, my pan is a stainless steel. It is not a nonstick pan, and so food is going to stick to it. if the pan is not hot enough and is not lubricated enough with an oil. Another thing is the food does stick right now, but that's because it is not cooked on the bottom yet. You don't want to try and move food if it is stuck on the bottom, because then all the seasoning and yummy stuff gets stuck there and the pan's a mess to clean. This way makes it much easier to clean up later on. Okay, now, my tongue's over there. I'm going to start my kitchen timer for, well, these aren't really thick, so let's try 7 minutes to start. And we'll check back after that to see how we're doing on that side of the chicken. Okay, we are just about at the end of time for the chicken. And looking at our chicken over here, you can see my uneven stove, but you can see how the white has gone up the side of the chicken, and you can still see the raw pink part on top. But this is good. This is what we want it to look like. You can see a little bit of chicken blood. Now we're going to turn over the chicken. And you can see how the back is nice and goldeny brown. That looks perfect. Get the other one. Ooh. Watch out for splattering oil. Okay, these are looking good. Okay. So, chicken is still looking good. I'm going to turn down the temperature just a little bit because splattering grease. And I'm going to set the timer again. This time, give it about 5 minutes and see how it's looking when 5 minutes is up. Okay, the chicken has been cooking on the other side for an additional 5 minutes. And turn it and take a look. It's still not 100% done. If you wanted, you could take a knife and cut it and see. Pierce it if the liquid comes out cloudy, it is not done. If it comes out clear, then it is done. Actually, let's try that to show you. Reach over and grab a knife. This one. Okay. It's difficult to do one-handed, but you'll get the idea. Now you can see that the juices that are coming out are still cloudy. That means that the chicken is not done. So what we're going to do is put it back on the side that needs to be cooked first. And leave it there for a few more minutes. I will check it in 3 minutes. Alright, the chicken is now done. I tested it the other side and the juices are clear. And everything looks good. So we're going to take that, place it over here on the plate to rest. Okay, turn your stove off. I still have, if you can see, all this extra oil in the pan. But my noodles are ready to go. So I'm just going to pour that into the noodles to flavor them. Here. Give that a stir. Probably toss a little bit more olive oil in there so the noodles don't stick together. Those are perfect and ready to go. Okay, back to the pan. As you can tell, I still have all this crusty stuff on there. And didn't stick too bad, so that's good. But we're going to go back over to the stove, turn it back on medium heat. I'm going to come over here and get the wine. Now, the wine that you use is just a matter of taste. I generally use a dry sherry. This is medium dry with a full body. Or vermouth is good, or marsala, or pretty much any wine works. But I happen to like sherry. Hang on. There we go. Hard to open with one hand. Okay, now I'm going to pour the sherry directly into the still hot pan. And I'm going to pour about half a cup-ish in there. Half a cup, 3/4 of a cup. Doesn't matter. Not too much anyway. And I'm going to let that come to a simmer. While it's heating, I take my spatula and I'm going to scrape up the pan. All the bits that are stuck to the pan are going to get scraped up into the liquid. This is what's called deglazing a pan. So if you find in a cookbook somewhere it says to deglaze, this is what they're meaning to do. Not necessarily with wine, you can do this with water, chicken broth, vegetable broth, whatever. It's taking a liquid, pouring it in the hot pan, and scraping up the cooked on bits. That's all deglazing is. The neat thing about this is it makes cleanup much, much easier because then you don't have to scrape it so much. I'm going to get this little bitty bit of cooked chicken blood out of there because it's kind of icky. Harmless, but icky. Alright, I'm going to let this come to a simmer. Okay, now the wine is at a simmer, or a little bit more than a simmer, in the pan, and when you give it a stir, you can see that the pan underneath is nice and clean, and everything is in there. Now this has already been cooking for a few minutes, and it has reduced down a little bit. It is still not where we want it to be yet, so we're going to continue cooking it and reducing it further. Now by reducing it, that's just boiling it until the water boils away. And what we're left with is a thicker, syrupy consistency. And that's what we're looking for. It takes a little bit of time to get to that point, so just be patient, keep an eye on it. Keep stirring it. And pretty soon, you'll see what you're supposed to be seeing. Okay, this has been cooking for probably about 10 minutes now. And if you'll notice, that whole 3/4 of a cup to a cup that I had poured in there originally is now probably about 1/4 of a cup at the bottom of the pan, and it's much darker. And you can see how it's a lot more syrupy. What you're wanting to be able to do is draw a line through it and have it take a little bit of time to fill in. See how it stays on either side for a little bit before it oozes back into place. That's perfect. Okay, I'm going to turn the heat off. Come over here and grab your thing of butter. I'll get a fresh knife. And this is optional, but this sort of makes it quasi-French, and that noise in the background is my cat wrestling with a plastic bag. And put that directly into the pan with it. And you'll see that the sauce will sort of take on a sort of a creamy syrupiness. And this is pan sauce, the basic semi-French wine reduction pan sauce. You can add cream to this if you wanted, or another thing that's really good is to get some pre-made bottled or canned Alfredo sauce and mix it directly in there. And okay, and I've got my food plated right here. And come in and just gonna drizzle some of that on top of my chicken. You can see how thick and syrupy it gets. And this is very rich, very intensely flavored. Try it if you like it, great. If not, then at least you have learned how to pan